Hi, Nick Huston here for Gotham Sound and Communications. We are checking out the brand new, hot off the presses Sound Devices MixPre-10T. We got it in this morning, and so we thought it would be fun to see what's in the box and what's new, what separates it from the MixPre 6. So, without further ado, let's open it. All right, so there we go. Nice white box. This is kind of reminiscent of their other higher end products, the 633, the 688. So it comes with, just to show, some stickers, and it also comes with a spare Allen key and the, I don't even know what you would call that, the wrench, and then a couple of different packing contents. There we go. Oh, the anti-rotation pin, that's what they call it. So that's the box. We'll put the box off to the side, and then we will unpack the MixPre-10T itself. There we go. So on first look, it's a little bit wide. Let's zoom in here a little bit. There we go. So on first look, the obvious differences between this and the MixPre 6 or MixPre 3 are that it has a lot more knobs. So this has 8 different knobs on it, 8 different mic preamps, and then there's also a 2-channel aux input on the right-hand side. So that's where they get the 10 from, and the T comes from the 2 timecode jacks on this side. So it looks like, so there's your timecode in and out. So it looks like you've got 4 of your inputs here. You've got combination XLR and TRS. You've got your X1 and X2 out, so you do have auxiliary outs. You've got your USB, either for an interface, a drive for this full-size USB, or the USB-C for external power and your power switch. On the other side, you've got inputs 6 through 8, and then you've actually got balanced XLR or balanced TA3 outs, which is pretty exciting. That's something that MixPre 3 and 6 both do not have. And then you've got, you can still do HDMI TC in if you're going to mount this under a camera or even connect it to a camera. In the back, it uses all of the same L-series mounts, and I'm terrible at getting these things off, but they do come off. There we go. So this is the 8 AA battery version, but it still will work with the 4 AA battery version or any of the other, Cable Techniques adapters, the MXL series, and let's see, any of the Hawks Woods adapters. So it's all the same adapters. Underneath here, you've got the slot for the SD card. Records to 1 SD card with mirroring to a USB drive. And then you've got the wrench and the anti-rotation pin. And then a new feature, which is pretty cool, is this 4-pin Hiroshi jack, so you can actually do external power not using the USB. So you actually have a locking connector, industry standard. It's the same thing that's on all the other Sound Devices products and a lot of other companies' products, is this 4-pin Hiroshi. So while we've got it open, let's put some stuff in. So it takes an industry standard SD card, so we'll just pop that right in there. And I'll put the back on. There we go. I'm going to use an external battery just to not waste a lot of AA's. So I'm just using an NP. There we go. Put that in, and it's upside down. Now the one thing that I'm noticing is that this Hiroshi is kind of at an angle, so it's not really, you're not going to just have it stand alone like that. I don't know if we can get the front shot so we can see, but it does put a little bit of torque on the Hiroshi connector. So ideally, it would be in a bag, suspended, so there'd be a little bit of padding on this side to protect that Hiroshi connector. Because even though it's a robust connector, putting any kind of strain on that is going to have it wear out over time. So let's turn it on. So here's our on switch. There we go. And turns on version 1.5. How cool. So let's zoom in on the screen a little bit, and we'll just see, we'll take a look at what the new things are. So as we mentioned, this does do auto copy. So we can plug a USB drive into the side. So I'll just do that. There we go. And that will actually power the USB thumb drive. So in terms of, let's just dive into the menu. So we can click on the, if we want to change the file name, we can just go up here and it will tell us everything that's in the, that's already been recorded. So we're operating on a clean card, so there's nothing there. But we can also change the file we're about to record. So if we click on that, we can change the name, number, so scene name, let's call it Gotham, just for fun. And it's a very similar interface to the 633 and 688 and 664. And I should mention that this is compatible with a USB keyboard, or you can also use the Wingman app, which makes things a lot faster and simpler. So we can enter scene, take number, notes, all that fun stuff. We can also change the track names from here, mix left, channel 1, channel 2, all that fun stuff. And again, to cycle through the menus, you have to, where you see the circles, you just tap the circles and it'll go through to the different menus, and those are all the different track names. So let's press home to go back. All right, if we tap on the main screen itself, we can change the track view. So instead of going, we could just be looking at left and right, or we could be looking at left, right, and all of the ISO channels. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, 9 and 10. Okay, or we can look at, is it left and right, and then aux 1 and aux 2. So that is, so that's that. And then let's see, you can also, if you have really tiny fingers, you can tap down the bottom and you can see what all your different record settings are. So right now you can see 192, 30 frames per second, 24-bit, see the date and time, how many hours we have left on the SD card, what our headphone monitoring is at right now, and then how much space is left on the USB. It's a huge USB drive that we're using right now. Okay, so let's make the meters work just for fun. So I'm going to take an MKH50, plug it into the side. We'll go for input 1, and then it's the same as the MixPre series, where if you want to control the inputs, you just tap, press in that, and it gives you all of the different settings for that. So we need to turn that on, turn the phantom power on for this microphone, and let's see, we probably need to adjust the gain, and we'll bring the gain up until we start seeing levels. There we go. So you can see that similar to the 788, and just like the other MixPre series, you have an indicator of that you're actually getting level on the around the knob, and then you also have a meter there, so you can see what your independent track levels are. Okay, so we'll put that about there, and we'll go back home, and now we can see that the first track is giving us levels, and then if I turn this up, I'm getting levels on both left and right. So, so we'll make the meters dance. All right, so now getting further into the menu, we'll go back into the menu here. This is the menu for the extended menu. So you've got a bunch of presets. I'm not going to go into everything because a lot of this is a duplicate of the MixPre 3 and 6 that we've already done. But you can save and load presets. You can save and you can change different project settings. So you can create a new project, create a sound report. You can remove an old project. You can change report info and all that stuff. You can adjust inputs 9 and 10 from the input menu here. If you try and adjust another input, it'll tell you just to push the knob. You can select what your left and right outputs are doing. So you can select, this is actually the same menu as in the 6 series. So you can select if you want channel 1 to go out, if you want left or right to go out. Right now it's by default routed to channel 1. But you also have the options to have USB to be recording from the USB or to be outputting from USB, which if you're going to use it as an interface, you can. And then you have the option to do pre-fade or post-fade. So for left and right out, we would probably do left as post-fade, and then we'd go back and have right be post-fade on the right output as well. So if we go back into the output menu, you've got the left and right output gain. It looks like they're linked. So you're either going to be outputting, you're going to be outputting everything at the same level, and then you've got the same routing outputs for X1 and X2, and then the gain for X1 and X2 are also linked. And it looks like we've got some delay options, but those are grayed out, so maybe that's a future firmware update. So let's continue to go through here. Timecode menu, all the new stuff. So this is new. So looks like we've got all the standard modes. So we've got free run, time of day, record run, take the TC in, and then you can take the aux in timecode and the HDMI timecode as well, or just turn it off. So that's cool that we've got all those options. We'll leave it at free run. We can set the frame rate. Looks like standard frame rates 23, 24, 25, non-drop and drop, and then 30 drop and drop as well. Let's put it at 23 because we're broadcasting in HD as always. You've got the jam menu. We don't have timecode coming in, but you can tell that this is where it would tell you what the timecode was doing. And then if there was a generator clock, there's the generator clock, and then it would tell you the difference. We don't have anything plugged in, so we're not seeing, so we are not seeing any difference there, but that's neat. Then you can set looks like you can set the time code there, so we'll just set it to 1 hour because I'm a little lazy. And what else do we have? And then you can also program the BNC in to do different things, the BNC in and out to do different things. So it can basically be either timecode in or word clock in. So if you wanted to do any word clock in and timecode sync, you would have to get timecode in a different way, which you have the aux tracks, which are pretty neat. So you can do timecode or word clock. And with the BNC out, you can also either output word clock or timecode. I think most people are going to use this in the timecode mode just because it's a lot simpler. But if you are trying to link multiple things that are eventually going to be used later, word clock is a good thing to have locked in. You can change the internal sync, which is great, and you can set the user bits. That's great. Let's see, so we've got the tone and slate mic. You can turn tone off on all those different settings, change the routing of that. For recording, you can have left and right linked, or you can just have it left and right, or left or right, but we'll just leave it at that. Looks like it does sample rate up to 192 kilohertz across all channels. So that means you're getting 12 channels at 192 kilohertz, 24-bit. And you can have the record run, the timecode record trigger set right here. So whether it's HDMI or timecode, so you can sync that right to your camera whenever you hit record on your camera, provided it's either a camera that outputs timecode or it's one of the compatible cameras that has the HDMI record trigger on it. So you can just kind of have that sitting there, and it'll only record when the camera's recording, which can be useful. All right, what else do we have? So we've got the USB drive, so that's kind of neat. So you can go in the USB drive, see what you've got, and then edit it. The only thing in the edit menu right now is format. It'll ask you if you're sure, which is very nice. I don't know, are you really, really sure? Yes, we're really, really sure. Okay, so we've got that. So that's all that does right there, but it seems like there might be some room to change things. You can change the shortcuts. So in terms of shortcuts, these little star switches here, left and right, are the shortcuts. So in terms of options, what do you want to have it do? So right now the stars are set. The first star, the single star, is set to be able to see what's going on in channel 9 and 10. You can also do muting and soloing, You can go to the project, the SD card. You can undo whatever you did last, slate mic and tone. And then if you want to look at the what this one is doing, the 2-star one, it is set to do tone. So we'll just leave it alone. Let's see. In the system, I found this interesting. So we're in advanced mode. File transfer is for when you connect to a computer. You can turn the limiters on and off, Bluetooth on and off. As we mentioned, Wingman works. You can set a password, change the brightness. I thought this was kind of interesting. Tune crystal. So if you hook up an external timecode or word clock source, it's the MixPre-10 will tune its internal crystal to it. So it's running in sync with whatever that is. So if you don't have anything built in, it gets angry at you. It says, unable to tune this signal. It was doing more red flashing before. I guess it just flashes red once now. Cool. Anyway, so that's interesting. Then we've got all of the firmware updates and all that stuff. And let's see. And then in terms of power, the very, very last menu, you can say what kind of batteries you have in the battery sled. And the options are use the scroll wheel or the touch screen to do that. You've got the L-mount battery or alkaline batteries, nickel metal hydride. Lithium batteries not recommended in the battery sled. And then in terms of external power, this is just for the battery gauge. What kind of battery you're using? Full range, 12 volt, 12 volt lead acid. What is it? EXP nickel metal hydride. I'm not sure what that means. Nickel metal hydride, and then lithium ion, which is what we're using right now. So I guess what we should do is I'm going to just disarm a few of these tracks just for fun. As you can see, I'm just soloing each channel and disarming the tracks. So now we just have left and right armed, and that. So we'll just do a little record on this right here. And so from the field reports are that the mic preamps on this are pretty good. They're equivalent to the other Sound Devices products. Nice and quiet, sound good. We will post this recording online. You should know that our studio is not the most sonically quiet space. We do have a full rental department about 10 feet to my right. But anyway, you'll get a sense of what it is. So there's the recording. And yeah, playback, stop, start. So one thing that's interesting is that it records to the SD card first. So it records to the SD card in the back, and then it copies to this USB stick. So you can't record directly to the USB stick. You have to have an SD card in there. But in terms of deliverables, a USB drive would work. You could also use a compact flash or SD card reader and just put different cards in there. That should work. So that's kind of neat. And then, as we mentioned, the Wingman works. So for some reason, trying to get on Wi-Fi, the Wingman works. There we go. I've already paired it with this, so you can see all the meters. There we go. So you can see the meters. We'll zoom out a tiny bit. Yeah, you can see the meters. You can see the time code running. You can look at all of the different file lists, and yeah, and you can arm and disarm tracks and things like that. No, you can just start and stop recording. That would be the false take. Anyway, we already know what the Wingman's about. All right, so that is the MixPre-10T in a nutshell. One thing I think that's really interesting about this, so it's $17.99, so it's a lot less expensive than the other higher-end Sound Devices recorders. You get 8 different mic preamps. The thing I think is cool about this is that there are a lot of amazing analog mixers on the market right now, like the older, Coopers and Sonosacs and Audio Limiteds and things like that. If there were somebody that wanted to use an 8-channel analog mixer that had the preamps, that had the faders built in and all that stuff, this would be an amazing box just to sit on the cart and record. Just sit on the cart and record, and you can record all day, every day. all the channels you would want, especially because you have the the 2 aux in ports to do your mix down. So I thought that was kind of cool. It feels rugged, just like the other MixPre series. It's definitely got kind of a finished aluminum feel to it. It's not too heavy. Yeah, it's not too heavy. The knobs are, I think they're probably a little bit hard to mix on the fly. I wouldn't necessarily say this is the greatest mixer in the world. Like the other Sound Devices mixers are definitely more mixers, and this is more of like a, hey, let's set your levels, or if you're not doing a critical mix. But 8 channels is also a lot to mix on knobs, period. I think that's about it. Joe, what am I missing? We're good, right? The only other thing that I thought was funny and interesting was on the box. Sound Devices has added a label that says "Go Get Creative," which I thought was kind of funny in script. So I wonder whose handwriting that is. Is it Ed's? Is it John's? The world may never know. All right. Anyway, thank you so much for watching and learning about the MixPre-10T. As always, you can watch this video and more in our archives at gothamsound.tv. We're also on YouTube and Vimeo and Facebook and Twitter, so you can follow us there for all the latest news. If you have any ideas for videos that you would like to see or have any questions or need anything, you can email us at info@gothamsound.com. And again, thanks for watching.